storage. We all need it, we all have it. But what if your PC gets full, or randomly your hard drive or SSD decides to die out of nowhere? You could back up your images, important files to something like Google Drive, AWS, Azure, the cloud, but they are expensive, offer less capacity in their free tier, and just want your data and money. But what if I told you could build something that can run a media server or even virtual machines, as well as store your important data on the comfort of your own home, and you get to pick the capacity it has? Would you believe me? That's what we are going to be doing. Today, we are going to be building a NAS, network attached storage, with the help of Truenas Community Edition. Let's begin. Let's first begin with redundancy using hard drives. In an optimal setting, you would have something like 5 or more drives with a RAID 5 array. RAID is basically a redundant array of independent disks, meaning it's a group of disks working together. You should have one for parity. Parity is a disk which stores information of files like metadata. If a disk goes bad, not a problem. You simply install the new one and the files get restored. That's why parity is so important, as it saves from data loss. The more disks you have, the safer are your files. I myself am running a NAS with 2 terabytes of space and a single drive with no redundancy. So if that drive fails, then all of my files are gone. That is why we are going to be working with the 3-2-1 principle, which is pretty simple. It just means 3 copies of the files on 2 different media types like hard drive and solid state drives or tapes, with one of them kept off-site. This is what data centers use in order to secure your server's data. As an example, pick a good system for that workload. It has an i5-6500T with 4 cores and 4 threads, and a GTX 1060 with 6 GB of VRAM, which I want to use for media streaming with Jellyfin, 12 GB of RAM, as well as a 250 GB SSD for caching, as well as 2 500 GB drives for storage. NAS itself is going to be running on a SD card via the internal USB 3.0 headers. With that out of the way, let's get to building.
Alright, so as I said in the intro, we are going to be building a NAS today. Now this is actually the PC which was meant for, well, when friends come over and they want to play games. As I said I had like a rescue that I had available, and this thing is it. Well, today we are going to be turning it into a NAS because realistically I don't have a bunch of friends over, and if I do, they either tend to play on my PC, and I also have my laptop, which has like gaming specs. But sometimes we just only chat for like a couple hours or do something else entirely, so yeah, I can use this thing as a NAS. We currently have 12 GB of RAM, DDR4. They're mismatched sticks, but they work regardless together. They form 12 GB. Now I know some people might be shouting at me like,
why don't you give it 16, or why don't you give it like 32?
Well, to that I say, I don't have a bunch of DDR4, I only have mainly DDR3, because most of the PCs that I have, are DDR3, so...
So now we'll cover the installation of the OS that I have chosen for my NAS. It's called Truenas, and we are going to be installing that. It's the NAS operating system for the NAS that we've just built. And basically, how you would get Truenas is I have a link down in the video description. You can download it from there. And you want to use the Community Edition as it's Debian based and it's much easier. So once you're heading to this link right here, we are going to click on download. Now you will see that in fact it will start the download right away. I have to just click that, download it, and boom, there it is. Now, for one thing, since mine has the option, It's not recommended. I don't recommend you guys do that, but it's possible. I'm going to be making it so that my OS installation runs on an SD card, as Truenas itself does not need a bunch of storage, and I want a caching SSD to have it work with. So yeah, that's basically what we're going to be doing. So we're going to let this download here real quick. So now that that has finished, you want to grab yourself a USB flash drive. I'm going to do that real quick. You launch Balena Etcher, the stuff that we've been using in the last couple of videos. Link is down in the video description again. Then you want to click on Flash from File, browse to the ISO, select your target USB flash drive and click on Flash. And now this will take a little while. Click on Yes if it asks, do you want to make changes? And then you basically now just wait for it to finish. Depending on how fast your USB flash drive is, it might take a little while, but in my case, it should go pretty fast. So now that the USB flash drive is finished, you can go ahead and turn on the PC that you're intending to use as a NAS. Make sure to properly eject the USB flash drive, of course. Alright, so let's now go through the installation. I'm going to be turning it on and I'm going to press F8 a couple times as that's the boot menu key. And let's see if we get a picture. Yep, there it is. Media on, then we want to select our USB. And there we are. So I'm going to just do that. And yeah, it's called Truenas Scale, but nowadays it's called Truenas Community Edition. Now we're just gonna have to wait for it to kind of start and initialize. This takes a little while. And there you go. So you can see we're now in the installer. So we want to go to install or upgrade. In my case, I'm going to select the Transcend 64GB USB for the, well, boot media that we want to install it to. Press OK. Then we'll do that. Yeah, it doesn't recommend, you know, flash media is recommended. USB flash states are discouraged. I don't give a crap. I'm going to do it that way. We'll configure it using the web UI. And now it's going to be wiping the USB flash drive, which I plugged in internally. And now we're just going to have to basically wait a little bit for it to kind of get everything set up, but that goes quite fast, as you can see. Now you can see it has succeeded. So now we have to basically remove the flash drive that I've been using to install it. So let me just do that. There we go. And then we just press OK. Now we get the option, do we want to reboot the system, shut down the system? In our case, we are going to reboot the system. Now we'll have to go into the BIOS of the thing to set something different. Let me just set that up here. I'm gonna go to boot. I'll select, I want it to boot from the USB flash drive. So in that case, that. Truenas 0 is going to be the one that we're gonna be booting from. There we go. And then I'll do save changes and exit. Now we'll restart. This takes a short while. And there we go. So now we are, or should be, yeah we are booting into Truenas Scale, also known as Truenas Community Edition nowadays, if I haven't already mentioned that. Alright, so now it's gonna be booting up. As you can see, it goes fast, despite it's on a USB flash drive actually, which is kind of cool. Alright. Here we go. So now you can see an address. Now if we head to that address inside of a browser, which I'm going to be doing, give me a second here. If we head to that in our browser, let me just get the screen recording real quick. There we go. So if we head to that in our browser, we have our username. Now we get to configure a password. So in my case, I'm going to be using one which I basically use. There we go. Sign in. And this takes a short amount of time, but that shouldn't take too long. There we go. And now you can see we are inside of the dashboard. So first of all, you can see we have the CPU that I've mentioned in the beginning. You can see that we have 12 gigabytes of RAM, 11 something usable currently. And we also have, you know, the network port here. I can see virtual machines and things, but we want to create a data set first. So I'm going to create a pool. So I'll say data. I'm going to say RAID Z2. I'm going to say I want the I want these two as, should probably add a vdev, right? RAID Z2. I'm gonna use I rather have less capacity but redundancy, so I'm gonna do that. So it's gonna select these two, then I'll use this one for the metadata. Well, we could use those for the metadata drive. We don't really need that. I'm gonna just use them as a cache. Then I'll say create pool. Yes. What? Oh, pool name. Oh yeah, I forgot. We have to give it a name. Let's call it Nazartron or something. No, we want a good name. Let's call it Cat Paradise. I don't know what I was thinking. Let's call it that. We don't need to do any of this stuff. Review. Yeah, that's correct. Create pool. Boom. And now it will create a pool. As you can see, this takes a while in my case. You guys might not have that. For you guys, it might be a little faster. And there we go. So now we have the pool. Now you might ask, well, how do I now offload my files? As you said in the beginning, you know, you could offload files. I'm going to show you how you can do that. You want to basically have a Explorer window or an FTP client window available. But before we can do that, we have to start the services. So we'll have to go into, where is it? I think system. Yeah, system. Was it? Wait, no. It was shares. Yeah, here it was. Windows SMB shares. We want to create one. We want to select the pool. Now it's important that we select cool. Gonna give it default share permissions, yeah. And then I will call it save. Then I'll do, yes, I do want to confirm. No. Yes, I do want to start it. And now if I type backwards slashes like that, 192.168.178.175, and then I type the name, like root, and I think the password. I don't know if that works, probably not. Let me just really quickly, we might need to add a user, so I might need to go into there, then into, or wait, that is a user, so let's not use root, let's use a Truenas_admin. You shouldn't be doing that, by the way, but it should work. I don't know why this doesn't work. Let me just see here. We'll have to do the user thing. Probably under system, general settings. And then I don't know if that is something that it can do, but we should be, I don't know where that is. Where is it? It's here. It is users, and then we are going to give the full name, and I'm going to give my name like that. My username is going to be PizzaGTV. Then we can set up a folder. We could create a data set if we wanted to, which I could in this case call storage, and create that data set. And then we can say only I have permission for that data set. Now we have to enter a password. So let me just do that here. There we go. And then save. Yes. And now if I go into that, so I go //192.168.178.175 /storage. We should be able to log in. Let me just try this here real quick. We should be able to log in. I don't know why it ain't working. I keep typing in the right password and it doesn't work. Could that be? Let me just try this. So I've just edited the password. Can you like, might not be able to log in. Oh yeah, wait, we're on the wrong thing. Allow me to fix that real quick. 192.168.178.175 /cat paradise /storage. And now I should be able to log in using my credentials. Yep, there we go. And now let's transfer a file. Like, I don't know, I have the GoPro plugged in. I don't know how much capacity we realistically have, so let's try transferring this file. And you can see it goes extremely fast, and now it's on there basically inside of the storage array. So let me just mount it to see how much storage we have. So I'm gonna mount it as a network drive, and then we can see how much storage we have. Should be 500 gigs, more than enough realistically for the video files and ingests and things that I'm gonna do with it. That's more than enough. Now if I open it, I can also play back my footage, as you can see, also in high quality. Now, of course, we have to still enable the... Oh my god, there we go. So we now have to also enable the GPU for decoding, but I think we can do that in... probably here, and then if we go to... Yeah, isolated GPU devices, yes. Yeah. I don't know why it isn't showing up. Usually it should. But I guess maybe I might have to install the drivers, but then again it's Debian, so we can easily do that. But yeah, that basically concludes the Truenas installation. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!